Hey, everybody, it's Jonah Lupton again, back with another episode of the Startup Sense podcast. Thanks for listening today. I want to introduce you to Greg Miller. He is the current CEO of a company called Grabit. They're in the robotics and automation space. The website is grabitinc.com. And let me introduce Greg. Greg, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, Jonah. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Before we talk about the company, just give us a little background on yourself.
Oh, sure. Going way back when I graduated from college, I was a nuclear engineering officer on the USS Enterprise in the U.S. Navy. After that, I've done a number of different things, both working in large corporations and smaller companies. I had been an executive with JDS Uniphase for several years and ran a couple of their divisions. And I've also been a CEO of a Sequoia Capital-backed startup that was in a fabless semiconductor company that had an exit in 2009.
Cool. So how did you get into this space, and then how did you find Grabit?
Well, it was interesting. My most recent role before, by the way, I joined Grabit at the beginning of 2016 as CEO, and really excited to be here and a part of this great team. But earlier, I had been a president of a company called OPSEC Security that was in the brand protection. And in that space, I had a number of similar customers that Grabit has, like Adidas and Nike and FedEx and UPS. So that's one way I met Grabit. The other way is that the lead investors of Grabit and I had worked together in earlier efforts.
Awesome. So talk to us about Grabit. What exactly does this company do, and what are some of the products that you guys have built?
Well, Grabit is really at the center of the robotics revolution. We have a platform that can be used to revolutionize and really reinvent the way manufacturing and warehouse logistics is done. And our early first system-wide products have real strong market traction with our lead customers, with follow-on customers anxiously awaiting.
Cool. So what are some of the industries that you guys are targeting right now?
So we are targeting, with our specific targets are the manufacturing as one and the warehouse logistics as a second. And we've got some real tailwinds at our back here. I was mentioning earlier to you that, there's over $150 billion spent annually in the industrial control and automation markets in manufacturing and warehouse logistics. And some of the trends that are really working in our favor are, one, in the manufacturing space, there's this big move to mass customization and to being able to make product uniquely desirable to the individual consumer. And in order to do that, you really have to automate. You can't be making thousands and tens of thousands of units in Asia and shipping over. So you have to be able to automate. And in the warehouse logistics space, as we move from same day delivery to same hour delivery, you can't have warehouses in the middle of Nevada to ship to San Francisco. You need to have the warehouse in San Francisco. In order to do that, you need to be very efficient in a small space, and our products really help with that.
So who are some of the clients? I mean, I know for NDA reasons you can't disclose the exact clients, but what are some of the big brands or the big companies that you see Grabit working with over the next couple of years?
Well, we are making products in the apparel side, and so we have been speaking to and actually working to provide products to people like Nike and Under Armour and Adidas and people like Skell, who's a large shirt manufacturer in Hong Kong, and we've spoken to people like Hugo Boss, and we've even had automotive manufacturers work with us. And that we've spoken with like BMW and Daimler on the manufacturing side. And on the warehouse logistics side, folks like FedEx, UPS, DHL, and Siemens, to just name a few.
So what's the kind of selling point or points to the client? Is it we're going to help you make your products faster or cheaper or better or all of the above?
No, it's a good question. So what we really look at, we have a core platform technology called electroadhesion. And what electroadhesion does is basically it enables the automated handling of almost any kind of material. Basically, you're using a electrostatic force. caused by opposite charges of voltage on one side versus the material being handled being the opposite charge as the other. So it actually clings to each other. So we look for opportunities where that core technology is actually an enabler. And in fact, the client companies are unable to perform whatever they're doing or they're wanting to do without our core-based technology. So we look for areas where we are the enablement, not that we're cheaper or better or faster. We're coming in where it wasn't even possible before.
Interesting. Okay. Now, how was this when you started? Okay, when was the company started?
The company was actually a spin-out of SRI, formerly Stanford Research Institute. The technology Stanford Research Institute is just that, a research institute that does a lot of research work with both private and public companies. This technology was developed out of a project that was funded by the U.S. federal government. It's interesting. The initial project was to figure out how a robot could climb up a straight wall. And out of that came this electroadhesion technology. And then it became, it was so compelling in the commercial space that SRI decided to spin it out as its own independent company in 2013.
Interesting. And then the company raised money from investors, right?
Yeah. So Grabit has raised money from a unique blend of both strategic and venture capital investment.
I mean, it does seem like there's more of these Fortune 500 companies starting up, venture capital divisions. I know even today I saw Tyson Foods is starting $100 million fund to invest in, I think, like protein alternatives. Now, I mean, I see you guys have Flextronics and Nike, two well-known companies. How did you find them as strategic investors, or did they come to you guys?
Well, in most of these cases, they came to us because they had found out something on the internet about us, or they were introduced to us by a third party that said, you guys should really take a look at Grabit. They're doing something very interesting. And in all cases, our strategic investors have invested with the idea of keeping an eye on the technology and hopefully working on projects together with Grabit, either now or in the future.
Cool. How often do you speak to these investors? I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they try to raise money for their companies, and then once they raise money, they're not really sure what to expect in terms of input and advice from the investors. So how do they work as advisors for you, and how do they help, introduce the company to new opportunities?
Yeah, so it depends on the actual investor. In some cases, we're involved in specific projects with that investor, so we're working almost literally day to day with them. And in other cases, they're more observing where we don't have the bandwidth to enter into a specific project with them now, but they are observing, and I'm talking to them at a minimum every quarter when I give my board and observer updates. Right. So it's anything from every day to a minimum at least once a quarter.
Now, I mean, you guys are obviously going after, the largest companies out there, both on the manufacturing and the warehouse side. So how do you find them? I mean, I know you're not doing Facebook ads and stuff like that. So you must have a sales team that is making these outbound calls, correct?
Oh, Jonah, it's really amazing. No, we don't. And we're not even doing anything really on the internet. We are updating our website. So our websites have been around quite a bit, and we're just about to launch a new website here in the next few weeks. But everything has been inbound. There's been such an interest in this technology that we actually have to be very careful about the things that we accept. We have to be very judicial. We have to say no to a lot of things not because it can't be done, but just it takes bandwidth. And so right now we are in a unique position where we have so much inbound requests for projects or for something to work with us on that we haven't invested in much of a sales or marketing effort yet.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, is this one of these plays where, once you get one big apparel company, all the other apparel companies kind of jump on board because they have to keep up?
I hope so. That's basically what we believe will happen, because as automation in this area is a big deal, and it's very difficult to manage all these types of meshes and leathers and cottons and knits and all that, and keep it flat and to know exactly where it is when you're trying to pick it up by either mechanical or some sort of vacuum. But when you pick it up with just electrostatic force, you have direct control. So it's really an enabler that we think has widespread use across the apparel industry.
How do your clients or potential clients, how do they begin to deploy or integrate your technology and products into their operations? Do they do it, piece by piece, or is it all at once?
No, we've specifically designed our tools to be something that could be implemented into a manual line now, just as the way they're set up today. A lot of robotics and automation companies really they go in with the idea of automating the entire production line. We're doing something different. We think that takes a lot more time and can also add a lot more expense and technology risk. So what we're designing are unique tools that can be wheeled in right into the line as it is and can automate a specific step or a specific process in the total line.
Awesome. How big is the company right now? How many employees?
We have 30 employees, and we're located in Sunnyvale, California, and by far the majority of the employees are engineers. We have several PhDs on staff and a number of patents to their credit.
Who's in charge of hiring? Is that you?
It is.
How do you go about that? I'm sure it's time consuming and exhausting. So talk to us about, how you find new talent.
Well, it's arguably the most important thing that I do. And that is to look for strong talent to come join our team. And what we normally do is we really do rely upon referrals. We have a number of folks here in the company that have worked with other members of the team and each other can vouch for them. That's just the best way to get in, is if you can get a personal referral, for sure. We have used recruiters, though, as well, and we do appreciate the work that professional recruiters do, and we'll leverage that. And quite frankly, I'm covering all the bases here, but we have used some ads on LinkedIn and things like that too to get talent. But we really like the referral side the best.
Yeah, it's competitive. I mean, there's a lot of companies out in your neck of the woods that have a lot of money, big visions and big plans, and it's you're competing head to head against them. So,
no, that's absolutely right. I mean, we are hiring software engineers, and right down the block, so is Google. So we have to compete against some of the largest, most successful companies out there. But we do have a really good story, and we are unique. We have found a unique space that today we're only able to fill it. So we're moving fast and excited about the future.
This is Jonah Lepton, founder of the Lepton Group and host of the Startup Sense podcast. Are you struggling to find the right tech team to build your company's website or mobile app? Maybe you've developed a product but need help with your go-to-market strategy, including branding and marketing. Well, stop worrying, because my team at the Lepton Group can assist you with all of those needs. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs and startups of all sizes launch and grow their businesses. For a free consultation, you can email me at jonahlupton@gmail.com or visit our website at leptongroup.co.
In the beginning, when this company was kind of launched out of SRI, what feedback were they getting from these potential clients? I mean, were clients asking for this stuff? And because I know you mentioned that the founders originally went into this with hopes of building a robot that could climb a wall. But I'm just curious how they ended up, in the electrohesion space.
Yeah, so basically, if you think about what they developed here, thinking about electrostatic force, everything has some sort of electron mobility. So you can generate electrostatic force in almost anything. And I think that's why, and this is third party, I wasn't there obviously, but I think this is why one of the reasons SRI was thinking maybe we could use that to have the robot cling to the wall. So they did it, and they demonstrated some success, and then so they wrote and published about it. And so what happened is that generated some interest from a number of strategic companies saying, oh, that's interesting. Well, we might be able to use that with the challenges that we're having. And so so it was really an inbound, even at the very beginning, companies calling up and saying, wow, that's interesting. I read about that. How about in our application, could you help us?
Gotcha. I mean, what percentage of these large companies that have massive operations on both sides, manufacturing and warehouse, what percentage of them are using robotics to make their, operations run more smoother, faster? Because we all know the problem with humans, right? I mean, humans get sick. Humans are not productive 24/7. Robots. I mean, it's a more automated way to run a business. I mean, is that what every company is trying to get to that point where it's as automated as possible?
Well, it's a very good question. I want to address it this way. I mean, everyone wants to improve efficiency, and also that's on one side, and on the second side is humans really have historically done repetitive work, but it's never been really fulfilling, right? There's in every case when automation comes in, the personnel end up doing higher level work and accomplishing more. So almost, I would say, virtually every industry is looking at where they can use automation not only make the company more efficient, but to make the workers more efficient as well. And so that is certainly true in manufacturing. And you can look at places like semiconductor and automotive to see that it's almost completely automated. And then it's moving into, obviously, I mentioned earlier around apparel, but also even in the areas of agriculture in terms of produce and fruit handling, all of that is being looked and meat handling, all of that's being looked at to automate. And in the warehouse side, whether it's places like large places like Alibaba or Amazon, or if it's large shipping companies like DHL and FedEx, lots of energy and expenditures into automation is going on there. And it's just, again, trying to keep up with each other and keep improving efficiency and making the workers that are in these operations even more efficient.
So if you're able to land some of these large shipping companies, these large apparel manufacturers, I mean, what will they be paying Grabit on a monthly or annual basis? I mean, are we talking tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or seven figures?
Oh, no. Well, the opportunity here is extremely large. And we are providing tools that would have an upfront sale price plus an ongoing recurring revenue coming from a consumable that gets replaced ever so often in the tools, as well as software services. But if you think about in the apparel space, the first product that we have that we call Stack It, we estimate that to be roughly globally, looking at all applications, over $500 million opportunity. And in the warehouse logistics side, a product that we call Meter It, we believe that's over a $700 million opportunity. So we're talking big figures.
And what percentage of these opportunities are going to be in the U.S. versus internationally? I mean, because I don't know. I mean, we all hear that a lot of U.S. manufacturing has been outsourced to China, India, et cetera. How much of that is true, and then where you guys really focus?
Initially, this business on the manufacturing side that we're focused on is in Asia, but all of the big brands that we're working with also have efforts to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. And because to the trend I spoke to earlier around mass customization, in order to be able to quickly respond to changes in the fashion or to make product that is uniquely identifiable by an individual, you need manufacturing close to the consumer. So all of them are also working to bring that back to the U.S. So the answer in the manufacturing for us is going to be in Asia and in the U.S. And then on the warehouse logistics side, it's the opposite. We're starting in the U.S., but eventually we'll be moving to Asia as we mature as a company and capture these U.S. opportunities.
Okay. And how much of this is true? I mean, the future of manufacturing is not necessarily being an assembly line worker. It's being the person that knows how to operate the robots and build the software, right?
It is that. It's that, but it's also it's not only building the robots and building the software. It's working with the robots and using the software to have the manufacturing to even be more efficient. I mean, these are not even as you automate in these industries. These are not all everything's automated. It's elements of the repetitive stuff that gets automated so that the personnel that are in those lines can work with the robots even to make it all more efficient and leverage the software to make quality better or even the variety more abundant.
I mean, when I watch some of these shows on just the Food Channel and I see just the machinery that I don't know who builds this stuff. It just blows my mind, the type of machinery and equipment and robotics that exist nowadays that didn't exist, 15, 20 years ago. Just
it's really amazing, actually, the stuff that's going on in the space.
So talk to us about, you've been at the company for a little over a year, I think. What's kind of been your number one challenge outside of recruiting?
Listen, when you Peter Thiel wrote a really great book called Zero to One, From Zero to One. When you're trying to kick something off from zero and take it into something, there's always challenge. And it's the same here as we're launching two big system-wide products that have great fundamental technology. There's things that you just don't know until you get to that hurdle. So whereas there's great demand for what we're bringing about, our big thing is executing and hitting our milestones and being on time. That's where my big focus, in addition to getting the right team to go do that execution, has been on. And thus far, we've been doing great, but it's always something that I worry about and focus on, and the team's working really well on it.
Fantastic. How do you think about culture? I mean, I know, especially, you're hiring some very, very smart people, like you said, a lot of engineers, a lot of PhDs. How do you get them to all, gel together?
Well, that is something for me, you can get a diverse group of individuals to gel together when you all share the same vision and goal, right? Get everybody to focus on the prize that it's hand and to believe in that prize, that it's worthwhile going after, to really passionately believe that making a big difference and reinventing manufacturing and warehouse logistics with a brand new, compelling technology, and making their workers that are in those factories, their lives better. Getting behind that vision is what I attempt to do with the team. And when I see that happening and when they get really behind it, they'll put in tremendous effort and can do great things, and things that'll surprise you in their accomplishments. So that's one of the areas that I've been working on.
Awesome. Just a couple more questions here, and I'll kind of let you get back to your day. What does your typical day look like? I know that's always a good question. I'm sure it varies, but on average, what would you say it looked like?
That's a good. So I'm up. First thing I do is work out a little bit, get my blood flowing, and then I'm off. Obviously, see what happened overnight. We typically, right here, because we are working on a quick timeline, are working practically around the clock on developing these products and getting them out. So I'll get up to speed on what happened overnight. Then I'll in the office, we'll have an update meeting with the leads on everything that happened during the night and what the goals are for the day. Sometimes we'll have a all hands meeting to get everybody up to speed on what things are going on. And then the team is off and running on their development stuff. And I'll be coming back and I'll be dealing with either customer issues or investor issues, or working on hiring or any sort of personnel issue that might be there for the day. And then as we get towards the end of the day, how did the team do on the development side? Are we on track to our goals? Are we behind? If we're behind, how are we going to catch up? Is there anyone that needs to work during the night tonight? And that sort of thing. And then we get through that, and then we'll do it again tomorrow and keep pushing the ball forward so we can attain our goals.
Any advice for an entrepreneur? Because obviously your company's going to be doing a lot of business in Asia. Any advice for an entrepreneur that, is also going to have to go down that path, where they're going to have a lot of Asia contacts, or I don't know. It's always a tricky one, but how do you guys deal with it?
Well, I've been, throughout my career, I've been fortunate enough to deal with, work in Asia on many fronts, both on managing direct employees that were Asian manufacturers, or to work with outsourced manufacturers, or also as customers. And so my suggestion is, Asia is a huge market, obviously, and is an important market. So, but just as in the U.S., going into Asia with people who are experienced and have relationships. It's really important that you get in there through relation. Very difficult to go in cold calling. So work your network. If you go to Asia, work your network here in the U.S. or wherever you are, and to find people who know others in Asia so you can expand your network. That's the way to get in, and that's where you can be successful. But I tell you what, it's a fantastic place to do business with fantastic people. And so my encouragement is do not be fearful. Just get introduced, get some relationships, and then go for it.
Right, and have the right people kind of around you that have been down that path before, if possible.
Exactly.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed the founder of Pride Bites. They do personalized pet toys, and their manufacturing is in China. And they went over there and they spent some time, getting to know the people, getting to know the manufacturing, facilities, before making an important decision like that. So,
Yeah.
If you could be mentored by anybody, who would it be? Do you kind of have a favorite entrepreneur or CEO that you look up to?
Well, I don't know that I have always a favorite, but I will say most recently I read the book by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, because I've been looking at that whole space around athletic footwear. And so I read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, and it's such a good book and such an inspiration on how many challenges he faced as he was launching this incredible global brand, and how his just sheer focus and keep goingness that made it happen. So that would be great to meet him someday.
It's so funny that I think just a couple of days ago I interviewed someone, and that was their pick, for their favorite book. Just because the Nike story is so remarkable. Phil Knight was just such a trendsetter, 40, 50 years ago, whatever it was, how he started that company and how he just grinded it out, and was kind of the first to do so many different things in the apparel space.
Yeah, and it took a while. It was nothing. It was no overnight success by any stretch, and all kinds of opportunities for failure. But he was able just to stay focused and keep plugging it through. And then now, of course, the rest is history. So anyway, it's all your listeners. It's a great book.
Great. Do you have a favorite piece of software that you use on a daily basis to help run Grabit?
That's a good question. We're a small team here, so I think we're mainly around using things. Using my team is using project management tools that are very simple to use. But my main thing is I'm pretty much just leveraging email and PowerPoint. I'm the CEO, so I'm presenting the pitch a lot. So leveraging PowerPoint and leveraging our email system is what I end up doing most of the time.
Are you kind of the face of the company in terms of, when there's a big presentation, you're always going to be there?
Yes. I do have a great founder though that's with us, Dr. Harsha Prahlad, and he founded the company at SRI, and he's just fantastic. He's our chief technology and chief product officer. So many times he'll be right with me, or he'll go instead of me. He's actually traveling in Asia as we speak on another opportunity that we've got a number of people coming after us for. So anyway, but I'll mention that either I'll be the face or Dr. Prahlad will be there as well.
Excellent. That's pretty much all I got. To kind of wrap it up, I usually ask the guest if they have any advice they'd like to share with, any up and coming entrepreneurs, what you've learned, not just at Grabit, but, your previous experience, what it kind of takes to be a success.
So for entrepreneurs, I'd say, it is something that is not a simple way to go, but it's a load of fun and a tremendous thrill to bring a company from zero to something. And so just my encouragement is to be very focused, be careful not to get too distracted by opportunity that seems like opportunity that takes you off your original vision. And if you do need to make a change, make that a focus change. Also, if you don't worry about needing money. If you need money, it's out there. It's out there. Just keep asking for it. Keep pushing for it. If you've got a good idea, you may need to talk to 75 or 100 even different firms before you get one yes. But just keep going. That next one might be the yes.
Awesome. Fantastic advice. Thank you so much for coming on the show and kind of giving us these words of encouragement and advice. How can we help you, or how can we help Grabit? Say there's that diamond in the rough listening to this show. Say they work for a large apparel company or a large warehouse or logistics company. What should they do? Just reach out to Grabit and ask for you, ask for a salesperson. How do you guys usually handle the process?
Listen, just like most startups, we're always looking for good people. So if you're interested in working for a very fun company making a big difference in some very large industries, contact us. We are a startup, so we are always looking for investors. So if you are interested in investing something that could give you a nice return and also be quite compelling, contact us. And then we're also looking for partners or people or customers to work with. So again, I'm the best one to contact. and I can push you in touch with the right people internally. We're a small team at the moment. So Greg Miller is at greg.miller@grabitinc.com. Contact me directly.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate your time today. Wish you the best wishes, I guess, on continued success. And, feel free to come back anytime on the show and give us some updates.
Okay. Thanks, Joan. Appreciate it very much.
You got it, man. Have a good day.
Okay. You too. Bye.